Let me know if the noise is
Perfect.
back.
No, you're perfect, Jerry. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I am really excited for this morning's call. We always do an exclusive event in the VIP customer group so that those of you using the products can continue to learn about them, gain more insight around them. And I'm really excited for today. You might have seen in the event notes, but I'm going to give a little introduction to Jerry White. Jerry White is a member of ASEA's Medical Professional Board. He's developed several ways for people to learn to test the function, reflexes, balance, and strength of ASEA's Redox signaling products. And he's going to be sharing them with you today. So I'm really excited. You know, Jerry's personal vision and passion make his partnership with ASEA really powerful. He has an extensive clinical background as a physical therapist, as well as a background in research. He founded the Gait Orthopedic and Neurological Lab at Shriners Hospital and was an adjunct professor of biomechanics and physiology at EWU Physical Therapy School. He has worked with elite athletes. He has a mind like no one I've ever met. Every conversation I have with him is always a blast, and I never know where it's going to take us. So, Jerry, thank you so much for stepping away from the live event you're at to jump on with us here globally on Zoom.
It's a pleasure. And our sound is good?
Yep, sounds good. Everything's good. So I guess before we jump into the topic of today, can you tell everybody a little bit of your backstory where it comes to ASEA? How did you find it, and what kind of caught your attention given all that you were doing as a professional already?
I had an opportunity to spend a number of years researching very complex issues on the sickest people in the world and the fittest people in the world. I was coaching at the international level in swimming and triathlons, competing in triathlons and doing all that. So these are people who are remarkably fit.
Sure.
But I was also working with the Shriners Hospital system, and in that, it's just some of the most difficult conditions on the neurologic system, the burns, the body, the physical, the whole orthopedic question. And as I was trying to put all these pieces together to make people so maximize their human function, one of the things that we found to be irritating was this sense that it seemed like it was too big a universe. But what I got introduced to ASEA through looking a couple of housewives, Danny Robinson and Trace Winkler, who were friends of mine. We worked a little bit on some magnetic stuff before. And all of a sudden they called me up and said, hey, there's this new thing and we're looking at it. They're saying it does stuff that we can't even comprehend. It's like, is this even possible? Will you go take a look at it? And I'm always, in for that bait. So I took off to Salt Lake City and I talked to some people down there, and it changed it in a matter of a few hours. Everything I knew about physiology, about human function, changed radically. We now have the ability to understand how the cells in the body actually communicate internally. Mm-hmm. We wondered, how does the body, when you give it exercise, for example, go, okay, the cells individually, how they have to kind of do their work, and they go, something's different. We're going to actually have to build a better cell to adapt.
Right.
Well, how do they take in that information? How do they process that information? How do they say, what are you going to become? How fast are we going to become that? Where does it go to read all of that? Mm-hmm. This is an intelligence. It's way beyond our ability to understand. It turns out there's a language that's based on how the cell operates. Well, it's burning fats and sugars to make energy. It's called redox signaling. And what you have your hands on with this ASEA is this replenishing the alphabet of that language, so that as you get older and we start to lose that alphabet, you go from embryological development, where the cell, actually a single cell, can split into two, and those two into four, and it becomes a human being. You're actually building an entire human being with a set of DNA. Every cell has the same DNA in that human being. But some of those cells become part of your musculoskeletal system, the beginning of your cardiovascular system. And they're right next door to each other. They're sister cells, same time, same moment. What is the language they use to talk to each other? Well, we've deciphered that language, and you have it in that bottle, and you have it in these products. They're called the Redox signaling product. Once I got introduced to that, it was crazy because these cells, which already know what to do, are finally going, whoa, we didn't know we could get this far off. We're going to have to redo some things. And all of a sudden, the body begins to start to do stuff like it used to when you were younger. That's the magic of all of this, is you're not trying to do something totally different. You did it forever, and you're just losing it as time goes by as you get older. So today, that's what we're going to take a look at is, there's a science here that we could make you crazy with, but there's also some stuff you can do to break through. And what I mean by that is, if it works, it's awesome. If it doesn't, it's a bunch of noise. So oftentimes we like to prove to ourselves that we can make this stuff work. I have a triathlete, very, very, very well-trained dentist, he and his wife, and they're at the world championships in Hawaii, and they do this stuff all the time. He says, I love this stuff as we drink it, and I know it's changing how my cells read the world and what they're going to become and that sort of stuff. And he says the best part is these little topical things where you take that same thing and put it in a bottle and spray it on, or we do it topically where we can do it with this gel, because he says it reminds me every 5 minutes that it's working now. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we can go on this long journey of trying to get improvement in our lives, and and if we could see right now that it makes a difference, that really helps us stay on track. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the background and the insight. And as I told you guys, every single time I talk to Jerry, I learn something and we go in a direction that, I've never gone before. So before we dive into this, can you give us some background on what is muscle testing? How does it work? Can you just give us a little bit of context for maybe people that aren't familiar with it?
Well, there's two types of muscle testing. The first type is what we would do in physical therapy. It's basically, it has the muscle, the function it should have. Have you lost function? And there's a lot of reasons why you can do that. The nervous system could go down, the muscles can be damaged, they could be sore, you could have all mechanical problems. And so we do tests. So I have that in my background, and we're going to teach you a little bit of that this morning. And there's some rules to the testing, and it just either works or it doesn't work. The other type of muscle testing, there's a kind of muscle testing you might see a practitioner use for diagnosing things, trying to figure it out. And it's a whole world. The start of what's called applied kinesiology. And that's saying your body knows what it needs, and it'll tell me if I know how to ask it. And so we put a series of stressors on your body. Now, I've gone to a third leg of all of that with this new technology that is really crazy. I mean, this is like, baby, bring it. And that is really the idea that instead of doing a muscle test, and today what I want to share with you is going to be I want you all to learn to be very judicious testers of human function, not, I'm big, strong, you win, I lose, kind of thing, which is what is implied when people are doing a muscle test, is that there's this sort of, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a look at changing the body's ability to do coordinated activity. If it's coordinated, you can do a lot of things really well and really easily. If it's uncoordinated, you can look like most Americans do today. And we're going to try to correct that coordination so that the cells in your body start talking to each other at every possible level, and show you that you could take your family, bring them in the room, do a couple of little tests, and you go, shut the front door. What just happened? So let's show you how to do that. I'm going to bring in somebody named Sasha.
Thanks, Sasha, for being here today. We appreciate you.
And what Sasha's going to do, my big advantage with Sasha is that she's never seen this work before. And so I thought, let's get somebody that is, looks incredibly intelligent, has all the parts working and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to take a look at how the human body responds to a balance challenge. You up for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so as what I'm going to show you is something, I got to try to make this sort of simple to make sense, but here's what happens. Our bodies are built with these sensors, and the sensors are called nerve endings. And those nerve endings will take in information and we process it. How do we process it? It goes from your toe up to your spine. It makes a junction there. Then it goes up to your brain, makes another junction there. These are called synapses. That takes a little time every time it goes to one of those. And so I'm going to challenge Sasha's balance a little bit, and I want to watch how her body uses it. So what I'm going to do at first is called a reflex test. You know how they sit you on the table and they whack on your knee, and that's a reflex. Well, these reflexes are things that your body is automatically designed to respond, even if you don't think about it. Here's an example. You stick your hand in hot water and you pull it out real fast. That's a reflex. Step on hot pavement, pick it up. You step on a nail, pick it up. And before you even know what you did it. So we're going to see if Sasha can show me and you what a reflex looks like, a reflex response. So I'm going to move my camera here, and I want you to stand back a little bit. Now, what I'm going to have Sasha do, and you can do this with your family at home, it's kind of fun. Turn this way, sideways, step back just a little bit. So we got that. Now, I'll put your arms out straight like this and lock them up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an upward force a little bit. That's the point. Learning moment, like Yoda, you're going to do a little bit. And we're going to be looking for something.
Gary, can you move your camera up a little so we can see, like, that's better.
Okay, we'll get this. Okay, Sasha, just a second. I'm going to have Sasha prepare for it. Because she's got a higher heel, this test won't work. So can you take your shoes off? Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll tell you, explain this while she's taking her shoes off. As I push up on her hands, her job is to hold strong and resist and don't move. Don't let those arms go up. You'll see people do all kinds of things when we ask them to do that. They'll go, I want that. Don't move. Okay. Then we're going to watch how does her body respond to that. I got to just get just enough here to get the feet. Okay.
That's perfect.
So,
yeah.
Here we go. So Sasha, I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1. As I press up, you don't let me push. 3, 2, 1. Resist. Your toes go up.
Yeah.
Now, how much force was that?
Not much.
Not much. Almost nothing.
Yeah.
And what's happening is reflexes just go, oh, I'll just push my feet up. That'll make sense. Anybody ever do sit-ups and nobody held your feet?
Yeah.
Well, this is not very efficient. It's like nobody's holding your feet. Your feet want to grab onto something. It doesn't have a table or something to grab onto. And you'll fall over backwards. So the reflex is inefficient. It's not the best thing you could do to keep from falling over. That's test number 1. Test number 2 is a basket test. And we're going to look at a similar thing here. And then I'm going to, if Alana is around, when Alana does this, she's really going to be amazed. But this one, we're going to do a basket test where you make your fingers into a basket. Hold your arms down like this, in tight. And in this case, you're not going to fall forward. She just stays up nice and tall, doesn't fall forward. We're going to find out how much it takes to watch that foot react. 3, 2, 1, resist. Don't fall forward. And wow, she fell forward. That reflex, it's not efficient enough. So if we're all going through life, trying to get balance, get efficiency, wouldn't it be better if it was more efficient?
Sure.
And what can get in the way of that efficiency? What we're finding out is things like radio waves, microwaves, lack of nutrition, lack of hydration, poor nutrition, poison in the air, poison in the water, too much noise, lack of sleep. All these things can cause you to be out of focus. We're going to try taking this technology and regaining focus. You good with that? I want to do one more test on them. Sasha, because she's an adult, and what I want you to do is, we know that each one of us are either tense in our environment or relaxed, and you kind of know who you are, and there's certain situations, one or the other. We're going to find out how tense she is just on a regular basis, and I'm going to do that by looking at muscle tension. I'm going to ask her to put her arms out. I'll be bringing the arms back like this to see how her perception is. She'll tell me, and I feel a stretch right there, and I'm going to measure that with a tape. It looks like this. Turn around backwards. We're going to make it like she's being crucified, arms out the side. It won't be that bad. Arms out, my thumbs up. And as I pull back, you just let it go and tell me when you feel a little stretch, like that's about as far as you want to go right there. Now I'm just pulling them straight back. If I was too high, it locks, it doesn't work. Just a little lower than that, right about here. And we come back, do it again, and it's about the same. Comes to the same point. Well, that gives us an advantage. If you're the type of person who likes to do like me, you get out your tape measure with a spring in it. And we're going to measure. Now I'd like to have it turn all the way around this one. From here to here, and you tell me when you feel that same tension. And that is
26.
So that's 26 inches. It means at that point, your body's saying, I'm not comfortable that you're going any farther. I'm tense, I'm tight. I'm going to guard against that. Call it a guarding reaction. Now, there's a lot of little physical therapy things go with this, but these 3 tests you can do anytime you want to. So the first thing is, all I need to do is to introduce to her skin or orally ASEA, one way or the other. I like to do both at the same time. So what I want you to do is to open up and I'll spray this on your tongue. And what's it taste like?
Cool.
She's a swimmer, tastes like a swimming pool. Okay, so then I want you to take this and I'm going to put it on your finger. Now, I've learned over time just to put it where there aren't any clothes, because if you put the gooey stuff on the clothes, it doesn't make any difference. Now, the easiest thing is, because most people have their neck exposed, I like to put it on your neck. Some people get into all this stuff about carotid arteries and all these other things. Just stick it on your neck. So right here, just and what we're trying to do is we're trying to wake up your nervous system, we thought. In my research and the stuff that I've been doing recently, this appears to be like Robin to Batman. Batman can't always see the bad guy coming from the other side. It appears that the human system in animals and everybody else, you have cellular communication that is not that interconnected series of nerves. And I'll explain to you in my reflex test why that's true. And you're going to find this on your own family. Do this with everybody that you know. It's kind of slicker than hot butter doorknobs. So what we want to try now is our 3 tests again. And what Sasha's going to do is tell me when I get to the same level of force that we did before. But I have to kind of help her understand that, because she'll just, all she knows is she's either losing her balance or she's not. Okay, put your arms out front. Let's go with that one again. See how you're lined up.
Can't see your feet. You gotta put it down. I can't see your feet. Yeah, perfect.
There we go. So as we do this, I'm going to start to press up. 3, 2, 1, resist. There's the same force. There's double. Keep it hard, hold it. There's another one. And then I'm going to go for it. You hold it tight. There, do you feel your abdominal muscles kicking in? Totally different strategy, no feet. Come here just a second. What did that feel like that was different from the first time?
So the first time I felt like my whole focus was trying to not lose my balance. And the other time I just felt my abs activate and that I was able to resist.
Now, you know what's interesting? I'm going to tell you a secret. There are probably 150 different calculations and muscle contractions have to figure that out to get to the ab part. When I added this to her system, all of a sudden, with one touch of this stuff to the skin. You're now able to process faster than you did those 150 different pieces through what I'm calling cellular communication. It's that Batman to Robin. It's like a parallel nervous system that talks to everything all at once. And Sasha's going to give, Alana's going to do this there in just a second. So my second test with the basket, I'm going to do that on Alana because it's going to be even more impressive with her. But let's just take that one where we had the arms moving back this way. This is a perfect one to do for somebody who's done too many push-ups yesterday. You start to get that delayed onset muscle soreness. If you do this, like, you know that feeling. Same thing if you're doing a lot of work, your quads or your glutes or something are really sore. It's crazy. It's crazy. But stretch them a little bit and then put this on, and then just moments later, stretch it again. It's so fast. Okay, so now let's try the one where we turn around backwards and we did. Remember our number? 26 inches, right? Your job, what she's going to do is to tell me when she gets to a point where she feels the same tension. So here's this, and we'll come back and you tell me when you feel about the same.
Like right there.
Okay, and read the number.
15.
26 to 15. What's happened is her body says, hey, I can see the world more clearly. I have a really much better understanding of what's going on. I don't have to be tense and try to hold against it. So all of a sudden, all the chores of the day become easier. If you're having trouble balancing, if you're aware of the environment, you're scared, you watch somebody try this. It's just like, I could put you through hours and hours of physical therapy and do more with you by just applying this to your neck or your arms in 30 seconds than what I could do in the lab. Isn't that amazing?
That's cool.
Okay, let's try Alana here. Now, Alana, as you can tell, is like one of those great American weightlifters. She's a little kid who loves to do some sports. What was it, karate?
Yeah, and swimming and running.
So karate, swimming, and running. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how Alana reacts to our test, pressing down on her hands. So I want you to step back so I can see your feet right about there. And when I push down, you don't fall forward. You stay like this, okay? So turn just a little bit. Make your hands do a basket. Keep it in kind of tight like this. When I push down with my hands, I'm going to start out real slow and say, don't fall forward. Just don't fall forward. Don't touch. Well, keep those fingers really laced in there tight. I don't want them to come apart. And don't fall forward. And you notice how she falls forward? Well, there's a really interesting reason for that. It's because she likes me. Actually, it's because she's using something that's maybe not efficient enough. And so we want her to get better at karate. We want her to get better at some of her activity. So let's just see if we can do the same thing with this completely harmless material. If I just put this on your finger and put it on your neck. So rub it in front, back, all the way around, just like that. And I love how girls do this. They know how to apply it. Most of the people I know, the guys and stuff, they go, wipe it on. Bleh, bleh. So it's sort of like gorillas and princesses. You know, there's a difference. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test Alana and see if her system has changed any. And so I'm going to do it this way. So Alana, I want you to stand here, like about there, here.
I can't see your feet.
We'll get to there.
Perfect.
These are technical things here. We're good if you need to be. Okay, Lana, I want you to hold your hands like that. And over just a little bit more. There we go. Now get your feet. Isn't this amazing? This is sort of like watching, what's that show where they make up stuff? And, okay, move toward me just a little bit. Hold those hands tight. Remember, it was like if I put in 2 Easter eggs, she fell over before, right? So now I want you to don't fall forward. Just be like a rock. In 3, 2, 1, resist. You got it. Hold it.
Whoa.
Are really slick, but she didn't fall over. When you do that at home, it's going to mess you up. And you're going to go, what is that? Especially if you see somebody that's got some really interesting things. Life deals us all kinds of stuff, but one of them is, have you ever seen somebody who's kind of have to do this? 60s, 70s, 80s, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Try this. And the first thing you do is just say, go up or down the stairs. I did this really interesting one at somebody's house. The guy had come over to visit with the family. And he was in the front yard and he was trying to hold on to things as he came in. He was getting into his 70s and he started to lose the ability to go upstairs. He was going to have to leave the house that he'd grown up in and move somewhere else. And we just put it on him. Gave about 5 minutes. You don't really need the 5 minutes, but we did that anyway. And we had him get up, walk over and climb 6 stairs and turn around and come back. He sat down and just wept.
Mm.
These things you're going to see right now. So I'm going to go up ahead and let you ask me some questions, and then I'll show you one other little piece for this just introduction. Again, you're using this on a daily basis to find out if it works. If you really want to know the best way to do this, if you'll just, if you really want to know this stuff works. If you'll just run over somebody's foot, push them down the stairs, and burn them with a cookie sheet.
Don't say it like that.
5 minutes. It'll make all kinds of difference.
Don't worry, I got the answer. So I guess like my question would be, or like people are going to say, well, how to do that, right? Like what actually are those molecules doing that allow the system to?
It's all about communication. It's all about communication. I use this analogy sometimes. In this confused world that we have, who knows of someone who lives in a stressful environment? Anybody? Yeah. And your environment includes a lot of different things. Your environment is like light pollution, sound pollution, noise pollution, radio waves, microwaves, magnetic fields. All these things that you don't know actually affect how you take in information. Weren't they great? Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thank you both.
And I'm going to close the door now just for a second.
No problem. Guys, if anyone has questions, if you're watching us on Facebook or you're here with us on Zoom, feel free to put it in the chat. We can certainly ask Jerry. We'll have a little bit of time for some questions, so you can certainly put it in there.
Okay, so what I'm proposing, and this is what I'm seeing that's very interesting. We know that in order for your body to say, we have to change direction. We have to become something different than we currently are. And I use it, the analogy of resistive exercise as a physical therapist, an athlete, and a coach. We know that you probably all know somebody who got deconditioned. I always like to ask this of a group of people. How many of you can raise your hands if you want to. We can't see it, but it's worth doing. How many of you either exercised 3 times this week or knew that you should have? See, so we all sort of get it. And so if you exercise, here's the question. How do the cells, which is what makes up everything, including your muscles and all of your reactivity, even your nervous cells, nerves or cells, how do they know that something changed? And then how do they know, well, if you're going to keep doing that, we're going to build a better cell. See, this goes completely opposite to what's called the entropy, the third law from thermodynamics. Everything goes from a high order to low order. You paint your house and eventually the paint falls off, and you drive your car and it breaks. I mean, it's just things wear out. But this is opposite. This is a miracle. Your body now has information that says we're not as efficient as we need to be. And what is it? Well, we found that if you look at how the cell communicates in itself, the whole world of communication steps down a peg. The cells communicate inside with a language like a nervous system that the body uses in this complex nervous system. The complex nervous system takes all those junctions to go, okay, you push down, it stretched an organ that told them, send a signal to my brain. My brain has to figure out where'd it come from. Oh, it was the right side. How much was it? How fast was it? What direction was it? It's doing all these processes by figuring it out and sending signals and going through these synapses. He goes, wait a second. So what was like that in our experience? He goes through a whole bunch of them. Then he goes, well, what are we going to do about it? Then it goes through a whole bunch more. And then it says, now we're going to have to send this signal, but we can't get too much of it. So we have to monitor when do we send the signal back? When do we stop? When do we start? How do we balance? All of that was occurring when we challenged the system. Now what happens? And this is the weird part of this new technology is we're now taking every cell that's already talking to itself in a different way, that's parallel to your nervous system, and it's as fast as, here's an example. Have you ever not talked to somebody for 20 years and you think about it and the phone rings, you're going, shut up, no way. How did that happen? Or is it possible that a mom could experience, in your case, for example, in your head injury, your accident, maybe thousands of miles away, you knew your kids got hurt just like that? Is that even possible? Is it possible that we have these communication systems, even down to the cellular level, we just didn't know they were there before? And now we have a way to waken them. It's like an orchestra that's warming up. It's just kind of confused. Sounds like a mess. That's how we operate now in this world around us. And then the conductor taps the wand, gets everyone's attention and said, here's the beat that we're on. And they all work together.
Oh.
That's what's happening now, is that your whole system, all the way down to the most minute parts of how the cells work within themselves, are communicating the way they were built. Now, with this ASEA material, we're proposing that causes them to remember how to work like it did when you were young. Is that a big deal? And if they do it long enough, there's a thing called neuroplasticity, where your body will build replacement parts because it built them in the first place. You just forgot how, because you're missing some of the letters of the alphabet that allow you to read, turn on the genes, interpret the DNA. We add them back. We don't have to know anything more other than that they already knew how to do it because they did it for years and years, and you're just reminding them to do it again. Yeah. Well, that was a tirade and a rant.
But that was the best analogy. The orchestra coming on and the conductor saying, no, here we go, and getting it all in alignment. I've never heard it explained that way. Very quick. This should be a quick answer for these two questions. Number one, have you found that this works on everyone you do it on? And number two, how long does it last?
Okay, this particular little set of tests that we do are reflex tests. The reflex test. We're comparing, are you going to just use a reflex because it started and it's a protective mechanism, it's automatic, you don't have to think about it, doesn't take time, but it's going to make you fall over. It's not efficient. It's not the thing you learn to do when you stop bouncing off your diaper. That's more complicated. This test will last as long as a good warm-up. So when we get into athletics, it also will be, you can change it based on instantaneous changes. So like if I relax somebody who's got a tremendous amount of tension because their body just goes, hey, wait, I can see things better. And I was making up all of this stress. I'm good. But then I come up and I poke them in the back of the neck with a pin. You will react to that last thing. It's built that way. That's the stuff I'm testing with this test. The other part that's really more remarkable is when you take this into your system, it absorbs. It's being used in many, many different hundreds of ways to do the communication, the rebuilding, the development in the long term. So the liquid form of ASEA that we would do, I just saw it. Oh, it's in your back.
I was gonna say, I have some. You're a little far from me though.
So in that blue bottle back there, that you have on board all the time. Why do you have it on board all the time? Because all of your cells have a cycle in which they turn over every so often. Otherwise, you'd smell really bad and stink and your fingers would fall off. And each one of the cells has a different cycle rate. And here's the interesting part. As you get older, the cycles take longer. I knew there's something I'm forgetting. So like when you're a little kid, your skin cells make new skin cells every 14 days. By the time you're 20, that's slowed down to where it's 28 days. And then when you look like some of the guys I went to high school with now, that look like a poster child for California pitted prunes, those people, maybe their skin is lasting 150 days. So all those cells don't have the elasticity, the responsiveness, and they're just going, you've hit me enough times now, I can't even get my hands up. All we are doing is reminding them that if you turned over faster, you're going to look 15 years younger in a month.
Right.
The cells are going to go back to doing what they did before. So there's so much to all of this. And I know all of you are just users of these products. But what would happen if you go through a number of cell turnovers with better information and you have all the information you had when you built this perfect little body in the first place? Now it has that information. You're going to look different. You're going to feel different. You're going to act different.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you said you had one more test for us?
Well, here's the most important test that you can do, especially with somebody who's a skeptic, is to say, what hurts? What's your problem? And you think about it. How many things in your body are built of cells? Everything. And so if each of those cells has the same DNA, the same operating system, and we're adding back this cellular communication, what could change? Well, if it's off balance and it used to do it and it goes back, I guess pretty much a lot of things, right? So the thing that the last test is something that bothers you. One of the most common ones is just turn your head to the side. Now, as you get more stressed, as you get more damaged, as you get older or whatever, you're going to be limited for a lot of people in that ability to turn your head to one side or to turn your head to the other side. So sitting with a group of people and have everybody do that. Have their friend watch where their nose is turning at the end of it. Then we ask the question, whose dog was that? No, turn your head and then say, where do you feel it? And they go, right here. They say, well, turn it the other way. Oh, binding up. Where do you feel it? What? I feel it right here. So then we go, well, where would I put this? Wherever you think you need it. So put it on. We oftentimes say if it's uncomfortable, we also like to ask the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is that pain? Or 0 to 10. 0, no pain, 10 is most beyond what you can conquer. And then take that number, apply this 3 times in 5 minutes, and then try the same thing again. And this is where we could get into, I've promised this to Danielle for a long time, but I promised a lot of things to a lot of people for a long time. Then I get confused. And like my granddad said, at least my forgetter ain't broke. But I have good intentions. The key is that we can measure all kinds of things. I'll just give this one example. You can learn to measure other things. Let's take my arm here. Now I had this lady, we'll do this. We were in this big presentation and she said, yeah, it hurts when I do this. She goes, I get up to here and go, oh, that's bad. So, well, for one thing, I know that she's kind of like, this is really uncomfortable for her, or she really wants to make a point. So what you want to do is you want to measure these things, just like we did with that tape measure across here. So what I did was I said, from a physical therapy standpoint, I'd be doing this all the time. Watch this. Put this part on something that's not going to move and ask her to lift this part and measure something, the distance from there to the table. How about that? So we did that. We had her apply it. And then this is the interesting reason for doing something like same thing for turning your head. Be aware of the before, then put it on, then do the after. So 15 minutes later, we pulled her up in front of a group of 700 people and the TV screens are on her and everything else. I said, I want you to move that through and tell me if you feel anything different. And she got like this. And she got like this. And she got like this. And then she went, it hurts like crazy. So I said, did you notice any difference? No, it still hurts as much as it always did. But we had this where we could come back and make a comparison. When she first did it, we were up for 1.5 inches. And then I said, okay, now you tell me when it starts to hurt again. She was up at 5 inches. And she said, y'all, this works. So just measure something before. And if it's like, it hurts to get up and my leg gets stuck or my knee hurts. It hurts to walk up 4 steps. You know what I want you to do? Walk up 4 steps. Remember, what does it feel like? Then put it on, try it again. That's the best way to measure. That's the last test. Anything that hurts on you.
Powerful test. I've done that in front of hundreds of people and it always blows my mind. So hopefully guys, today you have some things you can go home with or go test with the people you're at home with right now and just play with this stuff. It's amazing. Jerry, people do have questions. This is different muscle testing than you shared with us today. And I just want to toss it out there because I saw it in the chat and honestly just would like your perspective on it. So homeopathic doctors, naturopaths, some chiropractors, they do different sort of muscle testing where like, oh, does this agree with your body, right? Is your body saying that this is good for you or not? Now,
well, let's look at it from a little bit different perspective. And that different perspective would be if you challenge, okay, let's say for example, you ever done tug of war? Where you got 2 teams pulling on a rope? It sucks. And after a while, it really sucks, especially when you're losing. And when you have 2 teams both pulling and they're pulling, now they're trying to do a maximum contraction and it doesn't work. But see, our body, our whole system works on communication and cycling. So if I told one team, pull, 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 all of a sudden that rhythmic action is going to destroy the other team. They can't react to it. They can't respond to it. They're not doing it purposefully. Even if they try to respond to it, it's a slower response. You're going to overwhelm the system. What if all we're doing in those tests that those practitioners are using is saying, is the system coordinated enough to hold your arm in this position when I put downward pressure? Or does it take it's just completely confused. So the muscles that have to fire, it's called a force couple, the order and stuff. And you pull down on it, if they're confused, it goes down easily. Because each one's trying to do things out of their own mechanical order. But if you get the order right, if they all start communicating and working at the right, sharing and at the right moment, you can see a radical change. So what if it's about just communicating and intercommunication more than some kind of change to the muscle?
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. I appreciate you shedding light on that. And I hope this woman was asking because she said she was tested with ASEA and her daughter was, and they both didn't test well for it. And they said, oh, is there just some products that are good for everyone?
No, there's a very interesting answer to that one, which is really crazy. Yeah, your body actually will tell you, and this is a whole science. It'll tell you whether that's good for me or it's not good for me. And that's really what's happening. It's either harmonic and coordinating or it's not. It makes you more confused and it makes it worse. So what we found is if they test it by holding the bottle up here, they're testing the plastic.
Oh, interesting.
And that's negative. And if you put it in a glass bottle or glass container or put it on this way, then it'll test positive.
Oh, wow. You just blew my mind with that little tidbit. Amazing. Or I guess you could spray it with the tongue or yeah, you get it in and on you. Oh, beautiful. Look at you. The chat's lighting up too. They love that also. So, Jerry, I think on that note, we'll let you get back to everyone that's waiting for you in Atlanta. And thank you for spending some time with us today. Thank you all for joining us from all over the world. Yes, it's being recorded. The VIP customer group on Facebook. This interview can be found under #interviews. I'll also pin it to the top for the next month or so you can easily find it. For those people that aren't on Facebook, it's going to be uploaded. Give me a little bit of time to get it there, but it'll be uploaded as soon as we wrap up here onto the Vimeo and YouTube channel for ASEA United. So you can.
One thing I would caution you against, what I was going to say, you can't hurt anybody with this. This is probably the best safety tested material in the history of safety testing. So you should hear the backstory. But you can hurt somebody doing a test like this. You got this long lever arm, you got these weak muscles, you could tear somebody's shoulder out. I'm telling you, look, this is a simple assessment of how the body responds. Listen to people. Do something that says, I don't want to hurt you. What I want to do is to find that sort of perceived limit. If you're a gorilla and you want to watch somebody, you want to hear a ripping sound and see the blood pooling in their armpit, and become an orthopedic surgeon. Don't do that. This is a subtle test of a change. That's why I hate the idea of muscle testing, because it sounds like it's, I'm going to win this or I'm going to lose this. So I just say, when we're doing this test, I say, do it slow onset, let the system work with itself. And you're just going to find out how it's working, what's happening, what's talking about it. Don't yank it. That is too much force, out of control, and you're going to hurt somebody. So just be a subtle tester and be amazed. The second thing is, it's really important to know, it will not take away pain you should feel.
Interesting.
And that gives a tremendous sense of it just seems like reality, really. But see, if you have two bones that or you have a bone, it breaks like this, and every time you step on it, the tips of the bones are cutting into tissue. Your body says, let's splint that. You get kind of cramps, it hurts. You want to put a splint around it because you've got to stop the damage. The pain is there for a reason. So if you do some of these things and it doesn't take away some pain that you should see, go see if somebody is a professional in that. Because you've got orthopedic problems, you got bone stuck in the way, you got some chip, you got some tear, you got something like that. So it's really cool to know as a diagnostic tool, that works like crazy. And it will most of the people that you work with right now. But if there's still some leftover, something like that, you can always still have orthopedic problems. You can always have problems with some. So it won't take away pain you should feel, but here's the one you really want to know. When you're testing this on people, you get to save this one, because we just tell them if it doesn't work, maybe you just didn't need to improve in that, but what we know is it only works on the most intelligent people. All right, thanks.
Appreciate you, Jerry. Appreciate all of you listening. Everyone have a beautiful weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.